everybody, and welcome back to Brainstorm Brewery. This is a very special episode because this is the pre-GP party episode.
Pre-GP party episode.
Pre-free GP party.
Free GP.
Yeah, that one.
Party.
Come to Indianapolis this weekend. Hang out with us.
Hang out with me.
If you're listening to this on Thursday,
just book a last minute flight.
And then you book a last minute flight, and then you come and you prove that you made these decisions based on this podcast, then
we'll give you some free stuff.
We will give you a free high five.
Like maybe pay for a life coaching lesson or something.
Yeah, gonna give you some free advice. That was a bad decision you made. No, but for real, come hang out with us.
Indianapolis, one of the only major cities I've never been to, actually.
What, you've never been to Indy? It's like...
Nope.
That's where Gen Con is.
Yeah.
I've never been to Gen Con in my life.
Wow, you should go to Gen Con sometime.
It's drivable for you. What are you doing, dog?
You got to go to Gen Con at least once.
Yeah, man, it's a shit.
I saw pictures from Gen Con this year, though, and honestly, it looked kind of miserable. I used to go to Gen Con a lot.
You got to go to Gen Con!
No. Listen, look, I went to Gen Con like 3 or 4 years in a row, but it's been, at least 5 years. It's probably been like 7 or 8 years since I've been at this point. But here's the thing about Gen Con. Gen Con was always crazy and busy, but it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And I know they've expanded out of the convention center to some place nearby, but the pictures I saw from it this year, there was just like actual no walking room in the hallways. Like people were shoulder to shoulder the entire way. Is that what Gen Con is like these days?
Who are you asking?
I don't know. When's the last time you went?
Me? Like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, okay. So we're probably
not too big yet.
It was still big then, right? It was still huge and massive, but they just need to expand.
But
I don't know.
Even then, they were already having events in other like buildings.
That's what
I'm
saying.
You had to like walk to another building.
I'm not really into board gaming. I'm not really into D&D. I'm not like there's a lot of. I don't know.
It's just they have Magic some years at least. It's just a spectacle. That's the thing. Like I'm not into most of those things.
I'm not driving 10 hours for a spectacle.
Well, whatever, man. I used to drive 12 to do it.
You're such a curmudgeon, DJ. It's adorable.
Yeah, DJ's like a 70-year-old, 21-year-old.
Hey, board games. Who likes board games?
I did Gen Con, but I've never actually demoed a board game there or done any of the. They have like a live, or at least back in the day, this was their things. They had like a live action D&D thing where like you would act out whatever. Like basically, it was an obstacle course. I guess is sort of the idea. I never did it. But
obstacle courses.
Like I don't know. I think the concept was.
Are you talking about a True Dungeon?
Yeah, that.
That's not really an obstacle course.
I never did it. Like, what was it?
It's sort of like part escape room, part shuffleboard, part D&D. Sort of a deal. It's really hard to explain.
Yeah, but this was before escape rooms were a thing.
But it's like a TCG type deal where you have these like little tokens, and you can spend the year like collecting these tokens, buying them, trading for them, and then trading them in. Like you've like, oh, you need these 3 components to get this thing, and then they'll mail it to you. So like you spend the whole year doing that kind of junk, and then you have like good equipment. So you get like better equipment based on these little pog looking things that you get. And then you have that equipment for the dungeon encounter, and then you do it in sort of like an escape room type deal where you just like D&D your way through.
Yeah, that was the thing. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, it sounded awesome, but it also sounded super involved and like a huge weight.
I didn't realize
people
there
were
was
like,
a whole...
we got blown out, and I'm like, we died in the 3rd room or something like that.
I didn't realize there was a whole like year-long prep event for it. I thought it was just like you paid $20 and did or whatever.
Well, there's that aspect to it, but the people who are serious about it will redeem equipment.
Well, see,
because there's like a way you can send stuff in and like.
Well, there's always a way for people to be way too involved in something and put too much effort into it.
Look, my thing is I did this over Christmas and did one again recently. Is the like VR rooms where like you put on VR and they have the room set up, a physical space that you're in, and you move around in it. So like it's called the one I did is called The Void, and I think it's a chain throughout the United States. But they like have licensing from Disney, I guess. So like they had one for Star Wars, and I know they have one for like Ghostbusters and one for a couple other things. But you would like be doing a mission, and they have like the actual actors from Star Wars involved in part of the like pre-story to get you into it. And then, you know, you have a gun or whatever, you have your blaster and you shoot, and it's very, very accurate. Like you see all the people you're in with as in their like stormtrooper like VR, but you're interacting with real people in a real room, but you're seeing everything through VR. So it's like, you know, an Oculus Rift if you were in a 30-foot room that also has like effects like heating when you go through a lava pit, or, you know, like at some point you have to like solve a puzzle and that puzzle is physically in front of you, even though you're looking at it through VR.
That sounds kind of cool.
It is really cool, honestly. Like it seems to me like
nothing like what this crappy 90s.
Well, it's like what this is. It's like what the D&D thing wanted to be,
like,
right?
Yeah, give me that future shit in my veins.
Can you stop denigrating True Dungeon? You're going to...
I'm not denigrating. I said it was cool. That's how it got brought up.
No, he's talking to me.
Yeah, I know. I know. I just had to defend myself.
DJ thinks he's too cool for school.
Too cool for school.
Give me that VR shit. Give me the self-driving cars. I want my future.
I like
I
VR,
didn't tell you guys. Oh my!
VR doesn't have to be a big deal either. You can just go to a place where you can just like play a computer game. Like I played Fallout 4 on VR and it was awesome.
I thought there weren't video games at Gen Con.
Like, yeah, you don't even have to do a whole involved thing. Like every game is better. There's a Spider-Man game I played a demo of and it felt like I was web swinging. It was incredible.
Yeah,
like VR is it's affordable most places. Most places is like $15 an hour and you can just play some archery game until your arms are tired. It's amazing.
Well, yeah, VR is also kind of like 3D was with movies, right? Avatar did 3D, brought it back. It was really cool. Everyone enjoyed it. It was really well done. And then every movie just started doing the post-production, really cheap 3D transition just to get the extra, to charge more for the tickets. And then it fell out of favor again because of how stupid that was, right? I watched, to
be fair, Avatar was stupid too.
Well, I mean, the story or whatever, sure. But I caught like part of Resident Evil, I don't know, 13 or something on TV the other day. And it was like a movie that had been made with a cheap VR. And it was so dumb watching it on like a normal TV. All the things that obviously were made for VR to look for 3D to look stupid. Yeah, they looked so dumb. But anyways, the VR stuff's really cool. But VR is also kind of like people do the crappy version where, you know, you get the cardboard or whatever with your phone. Yeah. And you just look into your phone. And it's kind of like that. You do the worst version of it and you don't realize how good it actually can be if you're in a room that's like, if you're in one of the void rooms or whatever, where, you know, they've put enough investment into it that it costs $25 to do it for 15 minutes, but it's a really awesome experience. That's the thing, right? Like VR at its peak is just like incredible. But most people don't realize that because they just do they've probably only ever been exposed to a cheap version of it. Or like, you know, shopping simulator or whatever there is. I think there's like grocery store simulator if you do the ones in the malls or whatever. So yeah, it's pretty neat. I've got a self-driving car. Next week, I'm going to Denver for a football game, and we've rented a self-driving car for the weekend.
That sounds cool.
It's gonna be hype. I'm pretty excited. I've never been in a self-driving car.
I saw a couple of them in Vegas with like the advertisements on the side of the car.
Yeah, I think I was supposed. One time I was in Vegas and I ordered one through Uber or Lyft or whatever, and then it ended up. I don't know. I didn't get that one, but for a few minutes I thought I was going to go in a self-driving car, but now we get one for a whole weekend, so I'm kind of hyped. Anyways, let's talk Magic. GPND, as you might have heard, is this weekend. And you all should come hang out with us. The Brainstorm Brewery party is on Saturday night. We will have drink tickets for the patrons. We will have some special draft product for the patrons. But the party's open to anybody, and we will have giveaways and food available to anyone if you're there. So I'm really looking forward to it. Our generous sponsor, Channel Fireball, has partnered with us for the event. They're providing us, they're allowing us to use the space in the convention center for one, because it is their event. And also they're, chipping in some product that we will be able to play with and give out, as did Wizards of the Coast. So really looking forward to that.
We made it.
Yeah, I guess so, right? That's weird to say.
We also made it because we have a preview card for Throne of Eldraine, and the preview card goes live on September 17th. We will have a wacky, fun video similar to our Modern Horizons video. JJ's going to link that and throw like some giant thing in front of my face right now that takes you to that. But yeah, we got pure 3D Virtual reality preview card.
I just hope JJ doesn't do that and DJ just looks dumb.
I mean,
well, DJ will look dumb without help.
This is how we figure out if JJ's listening to the cast or not when he edits.
How could... What?
It was a test.
How could he... What? How could he edit the cast without listening to it?
Yeah.
And maybe he just like listens to it and then skips 5 minutes ahead and assumes that we didn't say anything fireable in the meantime.
Well, he has missed some stuff before, so I'm going to say that's possible.
Yeah, we got to preview the talismans for Modern Horizons. And we have a super cool free preview card from Wizards of the Coast. And it's going to be fire.
That's what the cool kids say.
Can we say if it's a good card?
Well, we don't know what else there is, so we can say... Now. I think it's a great card because it's our card.
Can we say we think... Well, everybody thinks their preview card is good.
I will say that we are 2 for 2 on our preview cards being good in one context or another, right?
Yeah, and I remember when...
I mean, the talismans were a gimme.
We got the first one. I was like, everyone likes their preview card. This isn't that good, but like it actually impacted standard.
Yeah, it was a big deal. Our first preview card was Fevered Visions out of Shadows over Innistrad. And yeah,
which looks like a Brainstorm, which is why we got it.
Yeah, it was sweet. And I mean, yeah, that card actually was a really big player in, well, I don't know about big, but it was an actual player in Standard during its time. Was one of the reasons the particular deck it was in could even function. So that was pretty cool. And then we got the talismans, and they were great. So yeah, hopefully we go 3 for 3.
We've been very fortunate to be blessed by Wizards of the Coast with free preview cards.
I don't know. There used to be the saying whenever Wizards of the Coast would do something generous, it was praise be to Optimus Prime, because that was the cash cow for Hasbro at the time when those movies were new. But these days, I guess it's actually just praise be
to My Little Pony. Yeah, My Little Pony.
My Little Pony. Yeah. Praise be to Jason Monopoly.
What was the recent Hasbro acquisition? They got like Death Row Records or whatever.
Oh so yeah, that's right.
Praise be to Suge Knight.
Yeah. Name of the episode right there.
I mean, if you want someone to praise be to Suge Knight, it's a good episode name.
Yeah, no
You want
kidding.
someone to renegotiate with Target. It's like, we got a lot of surplus inventory because Toys R Us went out of business. Maybe you could take some of this off our hands. We really don't have the shelf space. It's like, you don't understand. I'm Suge Knight. I just killed a guy recently out on parole for killing a guy. I'd hate it if I accidentally hit you with my car in a parking lot of a strip club.
Is that? I don't know. You could be making all of this up, including that Suge Knight is alive, and I wouldn't know any better.
Yeah, Corbin and I are.
DJ probably doesn't even know if Suge Knight exists. That could just be a rapper name you made up to DJ.
That's what I'm rolling with here, is that it's a made-up rapper name.
It is a real rapper.
The spelling is definitely made up. Like, how do you think he spells Suge, DJ?
Chug.
That's Chug. That is Chug.
Yeah, but like, I'm saying that's how he spells it. Like,
Chug Knight would be like the porno parody of Death Row Records.
Chug Knight.
I'm saying I'm aware how that is actually pronounced, but Jason's asking me a loaded question where it's going to be some whack ass pronunciation, so I'm trying to like.
No, it's actually
something.
It's Suge. It's actually pretty straightforward.
Oh, okay.
As far as
because I knew like Shug, that was my first obvious guess is like Shug, and I'm like, that's wrong.
Chug
so,
Knight.
So I figured I'd like make up one that didn't sound correct, but he still pronounced it that way anyway.
All right, man.
It's Suge because that's how you spell Suge. And he definitely ran over 2 people with his car in 2015, I think.
Oh my gosh. Wait a minute. This dude was sentenced to 28 years in prison in 2018. Yeah, oh, man.
Plus, he threatened to kill somebody.
Oh.
Yep.
On the set. Wait a minute.
On the set of Straight Outta Compton.
On the set of Straight Outta Compton. You can't make this up.
No.
My video is being really weird right now. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. So that's who you want negotiating your deal. So like that was a great acquisition. I want to strim myself trying to break the Shandalar speed run world record.
I think that's awesome. Is there actually a world speed run record for Shandalar?
So you go to the speed run website and the like the top 5. They're all like around 11 minutes, and the 5th place guy's name is Frank_Karsten, and I'm not sure if that's the Frank Karsten or just a fan.
I'll ask him. I'm curious now.
But like, yeah.
So is there some sort of centralized speedrun website? Like
yeah.
That's a thing.
Like,
it's like formalized.
Like that's where they like validate your runs. That's where you submit the thing. Like that's where they track everything.
It makes sense.
Plus they can go ahead.
Well, I was saying it makes sense that like that should exist. So I'm glad that does. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
And I'm glad it's not some bullshit like Twin Galaxies Arcade in Minnesota doing all this stuff like it was for years. Like I have the Donkey Kong Heart world record, and if you send me a VHS tape to my rickety shack in the back of Twin Galaxies Arcade in Minnesota, I could say you're the world champion of Donkey Kong. I'm glad it's like actual website with like people.
That's pretty. I mean, I guess I don't know, but if it's not yet, speedrunning is on its way to being big business.
Well, this year, Summer Games Done Quick raised $2 million for MSF, I think. Was it MSF or was it cancer? I think it was...
I don't know, man.
Doctors Without Borders. They raised $2 million. And,
that's great.
$5 of that, which I got for connecting my Twitch Prime account, and I got an automatic $5 subscription. I contributed $5 to that $2 million, so good for them. So speedrunning, it's a real deal. It's a thing I wanted to be part of, but all the games I like, I'm very bad at. And I think Shandalar is something that people would enjoy watching me play, because even if I don't break the world record, I'm going to drink.
I would love to see this.
You can at the very least get the world record for drinking while speedrunning.
Well, also if it's only
RNG, and people would love to see me have bad luck at Magic.
And if it's only 11 minutes, you can like get in multiple attempts over a couple
many
period.
runs.
Yeah.
Because there's like you're gonna get 3 minutes in, and you're like, nope. And it doesn't say anything about difficulty, because as you know, Shandalar has 4 different difficulties.
I didn't.
And based on the difficulty, it basically just gives you more colors to your deck and fewer copies of a given card. So you have to find this thing out in the world that you can buy in a town that lets you have up to 4 copies of a card. And so your restrictions are way looser at the easiest difficulty level. And if you pick black, you have a black deck. And if you pick the hardest difficulty level, you're like, I picked black. It's like, cool, here's a 5-color deck.
I don't really know anything about this game. I assume it's like the Pokemon TCG for the GameCube.
Yeah, kind of.
Game Boy.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
So you start out with a deck, and then you go from town to town. You can buy cards, you can sell cards, and then you run into monsters, and you have to duel them. And there are 5 castles, one for each like wizard that's trying to take over the world or whatever. And you go in their castle and you kill them. It's sort of like a dungeon crawler in there, but every time you run into a monster, you play a game of Magic at like 5 or 10 life points or something like that. So you can roll these dice that give you like a monster at the start of the next duel, or like, extra life points. And then you do quests, and you can increase your life total by doing the quests, or get like these gems that you trade in for cards.
I like how you said
it's a great game.
I like how you said monster, duel, and life points, because those are all Yu-Gi-Oh terms.
Yeah, they're not. Well, I mean, the monsters are what run around on the board, and then you run into them, and you have to fight them.
You said you can get a monster for the next duel.
You did say that. Yeah, that did sound pretty. Monster? That did sound pretty Yu-Gi-Oh-y.
Well, there are trap cards.
This is. I mean, that sounds kind of cool.
It's a fun game, and it's like not 100% Magic, but like you play Magic as one of the mechanics of the game.
Yeah.
No, like one of the mechanics is like you actually play real Magic, but the rest of it's like
I'll have you know, if this
RPG stuff.
If this becomes a thing, and that is the Frank Karsten, and I mentioned this to him, he's going to figure out how to beat you because he's Frank Karsten.
Well, I'm coming for his record. He's only in 5th place, and his time's like 15 minutes. So
Frank Karsten is just going to math the thing out, and you're going to have no chance.
Good. I would love it if Frank Karsten had to devote a lot of his time to reclaiming his record because I knocked him off the leaderboard. I would love it if he's like, I would love to work on my PhD some more, but I can't.
He's got I don't know. He's already got a PhD. What else is he supposed to do?
Get another PhD?
I was going to say, anybody with a PhD is probably trying to get more PhDs.
I guess,
he's probably working on his postdoc, and he's going to like lose a grant because he's up all night trying to beat my excellent time of 12 minutes and 37 seconds.
I hope that's what happened. Anyways,
I think you start with either black or red. I'm gonna do this. I
mean, black seems like the most. If people start at 5 life, then like black and red seem...
It's 4th edition, so you just go Dark Ritual, Graders, Unholy Strength, go, and then the computer's at 5 life, and then you just kill them.
It's insane.
Yeah,
or
like Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt.
This is just so absurd. This game was made.
He's like, I have 5 black vices in my 30 card deck. Good luck. Yeah, the game's real easy, but it's also real hard. And it's very inconsistent. So I'm looking for, this is a thing I'm going to do. I'm going to get that new computer, and then I'm just going to do it.
All right, that's what I like to hear.
I'm going to neglect my kids.
I'd also like to hear about y'all's Breaking Bolts for this week. Let's do it.
Breaking Bolt time. Breaking Bolt time. Break.
Oh, yeah, Breaking Bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking Bulk. The end.
Should I go first?
Play that Breaking Bulk song. Yeah, do it.
Mine has been printed 3 times. It is an artifact.
Break.
Mm-hmm.
A non-creature artifact with 3 printings. The first one was Urza's Cogs.
Saga? Is that what that is? Is that Saga?
Yeah, Urza's Saga.
Caltrops?
Not Caltrops. I don't think Caltrops has 3 printings.
No, that was Destiny, I think, actually. I want to say Crawl Space, but it's like very expensive.
Crawl Space was Urza's Legacy, and it was a rare. This is uncommon.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pretend
Urza
that
Saga,
I have a good guess.
Uncommon Urza Saga artifact.
3 printings, non-creature artifact.
Worn
The
Power
second
Stone.
printing was
Worn
a
Power
dual
Stone has
deck.
like 85 printings.
Is it from Saga?
Yes.
Ooh, I got that part right.
Saga dual deck core set. That I can't believe that's too much information.
No, it's not Juggernaut. I know what it is. Thrangle. No, that's creature.
Juggernaut's a creature, so you're really flailing about here.
Yeah, I'm Corbining here. Fuck.
Can't say on the podcast, DJ.
The you can't.
I'm Corbining here. Oh gosh darn golly.
Oh golly gee. I'm such a gosh darn moron.
Doofus. Yeah.
Doofus. I'm a dum-dum.
Alright. Tap out. What do you got?
Voltaic Key.
Oh shoot.
Oh yeah.
Golly gee willikers. Oh,
it was
fish sticks.
Well, we had a problem.
Jinkies.
We had a problem with Ben saying shit too much, so now he started saying, "Oh Jesus." That's somehow what we've got him onto instead of saying shit.
Guess what my daughter says? She says, "Don't say that. It's a bad word." When someone says shit around her, so she's actually a better person than me.
I want to point out though that Voltaic he has 5 printings.
Get wrecked.
Name them.
Urza's Gears, Dual Decks for Exia versus the Coalition, Magic 2011, World Championship decks, and then World Championship decks.
Oh, screw you.
Oh, you got me.
I think what DJ meant to say
Those
was...
aren't Magic cards.
Oh, heck, darn you.
I said screw you because he still has to bleep it and it makes it sound worse.
Voltaic Key at $1 is actually kind of sweet. I wonder what's made it go crazy over the past year.
It untapped artifacts.
Everyone just getting into that vintage life.
I mean, it's
Urza
much
and
easier.
EDH.
Yeah,
I was gonna say it's much easier to do dumb things with Urza and Key and
Urza, Brea, all that stuff that's come out over the past couple of years. Just artifacts.
There's also the fact that there's also the fact that another Voltaic Key was printed recently.
Yeah.
There's like a one in Corset 2020 that does other key things.
Yeah, there are a lot of effects like that.
Other
days.
key things or key things?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, I've got one for you guys. I'm trying to think of the best way to frame this. I don't think it's too hard. It's a Dragons of Tarkir rare. It was recently downshifted to uncommon, and it's a red non-creature spell.
Dragon Tempest?
It is Dragon Tempest. So this feels bad because this is one of those cards that was in my spec box. And this is probably, I hope they're still there, to be honest.
It was a lazy spec. Everybody picked it because they're like, Dragon Deck's coming, and everyone said,
well, no, it was in my spec box literally from Dragons of Tarkir when it was first printed 4 years ago.
And then C17 kicked it in the book.
Yeah.
Kicked it in the and then
they downshifted
IMA.
it.
Bleep that out, JJ. Bleep it out.
Yeah. Just bleep everything to make things sound worse. As a blanket rule.
Yeah. But what's actually crazy is that despite all of that, the card is still worth probably more now than when I picked him up. When I picked him up, like, it was just the kind of thing where you just literally get him as throw-in. You get him in bulk and you just don't take him. You just put him in a spec box instead of in a bulk box. And they were probably all 50 cents then. And now the card's like 75 cents. I'm creeping up to $1. And it actually does feel like the next time we have a standard set that is all about dragons or whatever, or some sort of product that pushes dragons because it's Magic and it's going to happen again, they're going to be $2 anyways. And despite a reprint and despite being downshifted, it's still going to work out.
Yep.
Seems fine. Corbin's good old breaking picks of the weeks.
And the pick of the week. What do you got, DJ?
You said
Pick of the bulk.
I have a card that was originally printed in Legends.
Okay.
And it has how many other printings? Let's see.
2.
4 additional printings.
Oh,
Was one of those printings Chronicles?
Is one of them time
No.
shifted?
Okay, so
No.
Legends, but not Chronicles, but
Or
other sets.
not Chronicles
Yes.
or time shifted.
Correct.
Okay, I'll
What
pretend
color?
I know what Legends cards
Black.
Kumbauj? No. That was
are. Which is leeches.
That's rude.
This is one that I really like, because it is an EDH card, and it's a very good EDH card.
The Abyss.
And it's a very good EDH card with a recent commander too.
What was the rarity?
It's rare.
The rare.
It has printings in 4th edition, 6th edition, and Commander 2013.
Oh, Greed.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
As soon
That
as you
card
said
is
4th
sweet.
edition. Yeah.
That card
Yeah.
is sweet.
Yeah, this card has climbed slowly up to the $2 mark for most of its printings. The Commander edition and the 6th edition have crept up closer towards $3. The Legends one is like $50, $60. So if you find
Because
that one in bulk,
Legends.
good on you, bud.
I'm sure I will. Don't worry.
I'm
sure
sure you
Corbin will.
too.
Yeah, you'll find
But-
it wet.
Yeah, I mean, this is a card that it's good with Carrick because you just start cutting your wrists and drawing a bunch of cards because you don't need to pay mana to do that.
Yeah.
It's an enchantment, so you don't need to tap it. It's Erebos-esque in that, like, you only pay 1 mana, 2 life, draw a card, and it picks up a lot of cards over the course of the game, and it's just, I mean, this is a card that I
It
had in
doesn't
my
have
personal...
the drawbacks that Necropotence has.
Yeah, I mean,
Correct.
I ran Erebos for a long time in my Oloro deck because it was like Greed. I ended up cutting them both for other forms of card advantage, but in a lot of decks, Greed is very, very good.
Yes.
I'm
So
not
you
even
telling us
convinced.
Greed is good?
We are
DJ's never seen that.
hashtag-
DJ's never seen that movie.
Well, it came out like the year you were born, Corbin. So
Yeah, I know.
I'm surprised you've seen it.
I saw the sequel.
Oh no, they made a sequel to Wall Street?
Yeah, like very recently. Well, recently, like within the past decade, I think. Right?
Was it a sequel to Wall Street the way like American Psycho 2 was a sequel to American Psycho?
Probably. Yeah. Okay. So Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps 2. It's Wall Street 2. Money Never Sleeps is a 2010 American drama film directed by Oliver Stone.
Oliver Stone?
Yep.
Oh my god.
And
All right, well,
it had your
Jason-
boy Shia LaBeouf in it.
Oh, he's my boy for real. I enjoy his. So they got Michael Douglas back, so it
Yep.
was like a legit sequel.
Yep, and they also have a cameo by Crazy Guy,
Crazy guy. You're gonna have to be more specific.
who was in the first one. Who?
Charlie Sheen?
Charlie Sheen. Yep. He's like, and this was like around the time Charlie Sheen was going crazy. 2010.
Oh yeah, this was peak Tiger Blood for sure.
Yeah, Tiger Blood. That was it. Adonis TNA, I believe, was one of the other call lines there for him.
Yeah. Apparently Tiger means HIV. Wow, Wall Street 2. Who knew? Okay.
Who knew?
That was quite the deep cut, but the short version is that Greed is a very good card that you should pick out of your bulk rares. It was a bulk rare up until recently around Eldritch Moon, Aether Revolt, Amonkhet. It started to creep up there.
It's not
And
recent
I
anymore.
had these in my bulk rares up until a few weeks ago, and I picked all of them out. I went through like 60,000 bulk rares, did a good spring cleaning of those, and I pulled out quite a few Greeds.
Good for you, man.
Good for you. You
Speak-
got greedy and picked your greeds out.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of greed, let's talk about Modern, where everyone's being greedy and playing all the colors and all the decks.
That was a
And,
terrible transition.
Yeah, I know.
You're a terrible transition.
I know, it wasn't great. Look, here's what I'm saying about Modern, is that before long, Arkham's Astrolabe is going to be in every deck, and it's going to be banned in Pauper. Also, we had Modern this weekend, Star City, last weekend. Star City Open, won by Dredge. Faithless Looting List Dredge, which I think is just hilarious. Basically, from what I can tell, they put Tome Scour, the 1 mana.
That's a deep cut.
Oh, yeah. Target player mills 5.
Are there Hadrian Crabs in this list?
There are not.
There better be.
There are not.
Wow.
But there are... all they did is replace Faithless Looting with Tome Scour, and they went up to Force Recorns, which may or may not be a normal thing. It's kind of gone in and out over the years in the deck, but yep, Tome Scour. So that's not a breaking bulk yet, but it could be before long. Could be pick of the week. Who knows?
How many printings does Tome Scour have? Probably like 6.
No,
I think it's 3.
2, 3 maybe. It's not that many.
It's 2 or 3.
It's 3. Magic 2010, 2011, and 2014. So those are. I mean, it's not like there's a ton of those of any of those. So who knows? Maybe that's.
I mean, I'm
not saying go crazy here, but give it some time.
No, I can see the logic of this Dredge player when everybody and their sister is like, oh, there's no more need for Leyline of the Void in my sideboard. The big baddie is gone. And then you just get, like, Vengevine in the face.
Well, no, you don't get Vengevine in the face in a Dredge deck. But you do get Prized Amalgamed.
Creeping Chilled?
Yeah. I mean, it's your typical Dredge list. Dredge in the world of Hogak became Hogak Dredge, but even then it was Dredge with Hogak, not Vengevines. That was the Bridge Vine, and then they banned Bridge, and it was Hogak Vine. That's that deck. This is just actual Dredge. Prized Amalgam, Stinkweed Imps, Narcomoebas, Golgari Thugs, Bloodghast. That's your creature base. Just a very straightforward Creeping Chill is a broken card Dredge deck.
Creeping Chill is a broken card. I had to pay mana for Lightning Helix in my day.
Yeah, it's nuts. But yeah, Eldrazi Tron 2nd, a bunch of Burn, a bunch of Jund, a bunch of Titan Shift, Merfolk in 11th place. Shout out to Cade Parks. But what we saw is basically, honestly, a pretty open... I'm sorry, this was the Classic, by the way, I'm talking about here. The Open was won by Wurza, but the rest of the top 8 is pretty similar. But yeah, so between those two events, and those are both obviously 2 very large Modern events, the meta seems pretty open. Pretty straightforward. There was a lot of Stoneforge.
It's week 1, right? Like it's week 1 of people throwing pasta against the wall to see what sticks.
Well, I'll tell you this. I think this Urza deck, this Wurza deck, I like to think I popularized that name slightly. Did my part at GP Vegas. This, in my opinion, is going to be the next. I'm not going to say banning. I'm not going to say anything that strong, right?
The next arch enemy of the format.
Yeah, this is going to be the next broken prison deck that no one wants to play against. Whether you want to put Lantern in that role, the summer where Lantern was for Hot Man's the best deck in the format and won a Pro Tour. You want to put it's going to be that. I don't know anything about like how good it is. Once people start trying to hate on it, my intuition is that it's not actually broken, because it is somewhat weak to graveyard hate, but it's not far off, right? It's a War of Invention deck that also gets Urza, which is an insane magic card. It also gets Goblin Engineer. It's already playing Snowlands. Won't be long before the stupid thing's just running Arkham's Astrolabes like every other. Oh, it already is. Yeah, it is running Astrolabe. So yeah, I mean, this is just the deck. So it's very good as it turns out.
I think Snowlands might have the potential to go up a little quicker than non-snow full art basics that we've seen in the past, because we've had so many versions of full art basics that we've sort of become accustomed to just telling people not to invest in them. Like we had BFZ, which really crashed the market, then we had Amonkhet, then we had Unstable, and I mean Corbin lost a Fogo bet that he's going to cash in Indy. About Unstable.
Do we have to go to Fogo?
Do we have to go
it's
to
a Fogo? It doesn't have to be a Fogo. It's the Fogo-esqueness of it.
I agree.
Where he is going to pay for an expensive dinner, but
I accept.
Yeah. So but yeah, the Unstable lands. A lot of people thought like, oh yeah, they'll be good, but like they flatline. They are just static. But snowlands are increasingly becoming, what is the word? Marginally better than basic lands.
Ubiquitous is the word you're looking
for.
Ubiquitous
is a good word, but like marginally better, or like strategically, there is less of a reason to just run basics, because there is still the slight advantage of making your opponent think that you are on a snow-based deck by running snow-covered lands, because there's not like an Armageddon for snowland. There's no like.
There's very few ways to punish it. Yeah.
Yes.
There's the one cold snap card that like deals 2 damage to him if it's a snowland or whatever.
Cryoclasm.
Yeah. Cryoclasm, that's the one.
And it only blows up islands and plains.
Oh, yes. Yeah, sure.
So, there are very few ways to punish snowlands, and, I mean, like, the main one that comes to mind is like, oh, you can get Gifts Ungiven in Snow-Covered Island, and like, that's how far of a reach you have to go, and,
sure.
If snow-covered lands just become, like, the mainstay where you have to play them, just for that 0.001 advantage, at no cost, then, I mean, snow-covered lands might be worth looking at, or might be worth holding on to.
And this is why we saw Icefang Coatl, however you say it, my pick of the week from a couple months ago, finally spiked this week up to $7 at least, because people are just realizing that, especially now that the format has slowed down, the snow cards are pretty good. So I don't know if you want to start looking at, some of the other snow cards, Dead of Winter, On Thin Ice, that sort of thing. I'm not saying that you do, but I do agree that Snowlands and Arkham's Astrolabe is just such an easy package to put into any deck at all, along with Prismatic Vista giving you some hedge against Blood Moon, because it can fix your, it fixes your mana in a 3-color deck better than without shocking yourself, better than say a Flooded Strand or whatever would. So there's just the cost starts to become very low to just play Snowlands and Arkham's Astrolabe in almost any deck. So any deck that's remotely fair. So I agree. And unless the only thing that could throw a wrench into this is if they do come out in a standard set and we get more full arts of them. But
the other thing would be if they have Snow come in a standard set and then they print some kind of like sweeping punishment for some kind of like Mana Barbs-esque effect for tapping Snow permanents, or like something that discourages the use of those particular cards.
Even that just seems hard to fathom, like being meaningful, because it has to be a sideboard card, then like what are you actually doing?
I agree. I'm just like
So I mean, talking it through here, I think that you're right. I mean, what's the price on a Snowland right now? They're all like $1, right?
Ish. I mean, they'll be $1 at like GP booths. They'll be like 1 to 2s.
Yeah. So I agree. I mean, there's no reason. I've already talked about how I think Modern Horizons is just free money at this point.
Snow-Covered Island is roughly $1.
Yeah, spoilers. My pick of the week is going to be from Modern Horizons, but I'm with DJ. These just seem very solid pickups right now.
Just grab boxes.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually, boxes are still out there and still available for like $200-ish, maybe even below, and distributor cost was $160. So honestly, it's a pretty good price, and they are still in print, which is nuts.
And you could have a $100 bill in there.
Yeah. You could just have a Ren 6, which is $100. Yep, there you go. All right, that's your Modern update. Jason, what's the Commander update this week? What are people doing?
Well, based on what we're seeing on EDH Rec, which is an incomplete snapshot of the whole format, but Angie Falconwrath was the #1 deck for the second week in a row, which I thought was real interesting. Kadena cut up to #2. Garrett is #3. Elsha found its way into the top 5, and Atla Palani is slid down to 5th place, knocking Keurig Sunny Yawgmoth out of the top 5. Kaikar, Golos, and Yarok are nipping at its heels, but I think people are pretty much over drafting with bring with M20 at this point. It looks like with the top 6 all being from this Commander set, I think people are finally figuring out what they want to do. I'm really surprised Gyrat is up as high as it is.
Which one is that?
It's the one where
it's a face commander of,
makes a 4/4, and then when you attack, you populate, and that token's attacking.
Right? Oh yeah, that's weird. I didn't think that mechanic was super popular.
Attacking with your commander sucks. Atla Palani is like a better Mael. So I really wouldn't have expected these results, but Kurik Sunny Yawgmoth I expect to be in the top 5 because, it's a real try-hard deck, but for whatever reason, at Angie Falconwrath, which is the most boring one because you just basically put cards with madness in the deck and you play really terrible cards. Like, people are playing Dark Withering and, From Under the Floorboards, and basically...
Dude, From Under the Floorboards is a fun Magic card, though. Come on. You gotta give it that.
Okay, is Malevolent Whispers a fun card?
No.
Yeah,
I don't know what that card is.
You don't know what Muckdrub does. Or Incorrigible Use, because it's just
I know
bad
Incorrigible
cards.
Use, because that one was good and limited.
Yeah, it was good and limited. Great, it was good and limited.
Buy foils, guys.
So, like, I look through this whole deck list, I don't see any money to be made. Like, my pick of the week is from Angie decks, but that, like, has less to do with Angie and more to do with a phenomenon I discovered. So, I think people are... What? Phenomenon. Phenomenon's plural, dude.
Yeah, you're right. My bad.
So, I'm a little surprised by these results, but I'm not going to dispute them. The results are what they are. Pramicon, not doing great. Chainer, not doing great. Marcy Breaker the Coil is whatever. So Atla Palani's still winning over the month, and Kurik's still in 3rd place for the month, but Angie Falconwrath knocked both of those out. So it seems like people are starting to just grab these decks and finally build, I think the people that waited are the people that are building with, like, Gyred, Conclave Elite, and stuff like that. I think those are the people that waited till they had the physical cards to register their deck. I think that's who builds with, like, the face card of the deck. So,
man, Jason, you're right. I'm looking at this list on EDH Rec. These Madness cards are bad.
You just jam every card with Madness in it because Angie Falconwrath doesn't do anything if you don't do that, and, like, you're playing real terrible cards.
Madness is a cool mechanic, though, and it is fairly novel to Commander, because most of the cards have just basically been limited fodder or sucked over the years or whatever. So yeah. I understand the...
So how do you kill them?
With Alms of the Vein? I don't know, man. You get a bunch of free 4/3 vampires for... Oh, I only paid 3 mana for my 4/3 vampire. You pitch Squee? I don't know.
I understand why people are doing it, but I agree. It seems real bad.
Shadow of the Grave.
They'll
think
just turn them
Shadow
into
of the Grave
Chainer
combo
decks eventually.
I mean, I brewed a Chainer deck on. I mean, if you're listening to this on Thursday, it went out on Cool Stuff Inc., and I'm actually super excited. I'm doing a Chainer Nightmare deck with a Goblin deck. That's almost exactly like the Xantia deck I brewed last year that I was excited about. So once a year I make a Rakdos deck I like. So I think Chainer is way more exciting than Angie Falconwrath. But hey, I'm wrong because Angie Falconwrath is the 192 ranked commander of all time. So currently, I guess I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't really think there's any money to be made from Angie decks, except for my pick of the week. I think Elsha is pretty boring because it's basically adding white to, like, the red-blue Spellslinger decks that existed before. Atla Palani is basically male picks. Garrett is who even knows. So, like, Kurik Sunny Yawgmoth is a list I'd go way down deep into. That's where DJ's Greed pops up. You're seeing Aetherflux Reservoir, some cool stuff like that, like Bontu's Monument, stuff you never really expected to.
That's cool.
To get there. But I want to segue into the next topic because while I was looking at some cards, including my pick of the week, I noticed something. Like if you look at the card Blade of Selves, and you look at its 2 different prices, it's currently about $2.50 cheaper. If you look at market price versus the price on Card Kingdom, it's $4 cheaper for Blade of Selves on Card Kingdom.
Yeah.
So usually Card Kingdom is way more because they have a very generous trade-in bonus, and people are like, well, I'll just trade in for the cards I need, and I got this 20% bonus or whatever, so it's fine that I'm paying 10% more. But in this case, you have a market, which is a lot of people, on TCG Player dictating the market versus Card Kingdom, which is just like one person picking a price. So it's really interesting that a card would be $4 cheaper on Card Kingdom when it's a major EDH card. So can you think of why something like that would happen?
Well, here's what I'll say. Looking at the chart on Blade of Selves too, it's nice. This actually overlaps very neatly with something we hadn't brought up in a long time on this podcast that I had talked about. I think probably it's been more than a year, but the market price for Blade of Selves on TCG Player is more than the average price for the card. And
yeah, that's weird too.
Well, we talked, last year, my hypothesis with this was, and I think it's pretty much been borne out, is that looking just, if you look at MTG stocks where you can track these things, as the market price catches up to the average price, the listed price, that's a really good indicator of a card picking up steam. And
the card's also sold out on CFB's website.
Yeah, Channel Fireball had pretty reasonable at like $7, which is cheaper than Card Kingdom, obviously, and it's sold out.
Yeah, so I think all of these things point to the same thing: is that there are certain indicators you can look at to see when a card is starting to move and get ahead of it. We do a lot of this sort of just by hand, knowing cards, seeing a lot of card prices, looking at the 2% gainers on MTG stocks, etc. But hey, somebody out there just developed the algorithm that says, hey, the market price, figure out what the average difference between market price and listed price is, and then figure out the ones that are less than that, and you'll have something. Because the market price for Blade of Selves wasn't always in line with the median. It used to be pretty far below it. Yeah, but it's caught up to it, and now it's surpassed it. And that, that makes sense of a card that's been moving. It means there's a lot of pressure on it. So it's actually really interesting that Card Kingdom hasn't caught up to that. Clearly people, they went to Channel Fireball and they got them, that they are getting them on TCG Player, but they haven't got them on Card Kingdom yet. So I'm tempted to say that maybe they just had a bunch in stock, and therefore when they started selling, or if they have been selling, their algorithm just hasn't caught it because they still have a bunch in stock. That would be my guess.
It's possible. And I think, I think people don't necessarily check Card Kingdom as often because they do charge the most.
Right. Yeah. If you're trying to buy a card on the cheap, you really don't have any reason to go to Card Kingdom.
And also, that's the Commander Anthologies version. They're charging $9.50, which is a little bit closer for the Commander 2015 version. But still, I mean, Commander Anthology, it's perfectly playable on EDH, and it's $2 cheaper than the set version, and $4 cheaper than TCG Player. So it's really puzzling.
Blade of Selves, by the way, seems like it shrugged off that reprint in Anthologies like crazy. I mean, that card was $5 3 months ago after the reprint from 15, and now it's back up to 10.
The biggest thing I've noticed about the Anthology printings for the past couple of years is that they do not traditionally affect the price of the cards that are reprinted in them, but they have a very large impact on the velocity at which those cards move. So I used to sell out of Blade of Selves like constantly at whatever the old price was, like $12 or $13, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then like once a card gets a Commander Anthology reprint, it just stagnates and doesn't sell as well. Titania is another good example where I had 20 or 30 Titanias from C14. I would constantly just get them, sell them, get them, sell them all the time. And then once that card hit a Commander Anthology printing, those particular versions just sit on the shelves forever.
Which is like
even when you underprice them.
So you think that people don't want the Anthology version, or you think that just there's enough out there in the wild because of the reprint that people just aren't buying them as much overall?
I think it's the latter.
Okay.
I think there's just enough out there that like the supply tends to be satiated without needing to like tank the price like Commander reprints or standard staples, where there's just like billions and billions of those cards out there just flooding everything. And it's like, we don't need $10 Gilded Lotuses anymore when it's in Dominaria, but I mean, like, the Commander Anthology reprint is just enough to sate the play groups who are like, oh, I needed Titania, I needed a Blade of Selves, a Magus of the Wheel.
Well, Blade of Selves at least has shrugged it off and gone back.
Yeah.
So maybe, that's something to learn there too, right? If some of them, it tells you the difference between the cards that were sort of expensive because of low supply and the cards that are expensive from a Commander set just because they're busted in half or whatever, like Blade of Selves.
Yeah.
Because like Titania doesn't go in everything, it's a good card, but it doesn't go in everything, whereas Blade of Selves can go in so much.
I mean, Titania goes in a lot of green decks, though. I mean,
what is the full name of that card? I'm trying to look it up.
Titania, Protector of Argoth.
Protector.
So it goes in like all the Lord Windgrace land decks. It goes in a lot of the Golos landy decks, like the Maze's End shenanigans. Yeah. It goes in most green decks that involve land, which is most of them.
Yeah, it is. It is very expensive.
It is a very ubiquitous card for its particular archetype.
But the price on it has stagnated.
Titania is also in the top 100 green cards, and Blade of Selves is not in the top 100 artifacts. Which, of course, but
yeah.
That's something to think of also.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so those versions just tend not to sell. Like same with what's the Hydra that spiked? Like Lifeblood Hydra. That was another one that got a Commander Anthology printing. It's like, great, these are worth $7. They still don't sell.
Good to know. All right, you guys ready to do some pick of the week action?
Pick of the week. Pick of the week. Pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
Well, mine kind of goes from that because it was something I noticed.
Go ahead.
This is another card that that there's a big price disparity. This is something that's like $4.50, $5 market price on TCG Player, but Card Kingdom's got them for $2.80, and they have it doesn't look like they're going to sell out anytime soon. The card is Demonic Consultation from Ice Age. Now, this is an Angie Falconwrath card. You name a card, you reveal cards from the top of your library. Remove the top 6 cards from your library from the game and reveal the next card to all players. If it's the name card, put it in your hand. If not, that card gets removed from the game, and you can continue revealing cards until you hit the name card. So, Angie Falconwrath decks are using this to dig to what they need. And it's not filling up their graveyard. I don't know why they want this card, but, a lot of Angie Falconwrath decks are running this, and it's currently, way cheap on Card Kingdom, which should be a lot more than TCG Player. So this is something you'll get in bulk sometimes. So this is like a hybrid breaking bulk pick of the week, I guess, but like, I don't think these stay under $3 if they're selling,
I feel like
on TCG Player for much more.
I feel like this card is such an unknown quantity because most people, like, if you tell somebody that there's a card named Demonic Consultation, I think most people would guess that it has the word anti in the rules text.
Okay.
So I just think that, like, that's a factor in terms of how often players see this card and how recognizable it is and how, like, a large number of people learning what this card does could lead to a very large number of people actually buying this card.
So you don't remember 1996 Worlds when...
yeah, come on, man.
Dave Justice lost Game 5 because he had to keep a no-lander before they invented the mulligan? You don't remember that?
And you were 3 years old.
Yeah, sure were.
Actually, he probably wasn't even 3. He probably wasn't even born. Were you
I was
even
born
alive?
in 94.
Okay, 2 years old. I was close.
I mean, how could this card be $4.50 on Channel Fireball and like $2.79 on Card Kingdom, which always charges way more? I think Card Kingdom just hasn't caught up. There's something going on over there.
Interesting. All right, I'll go next. And, on that note, want to thank our sponsor, as always, Channel Fireball, which is a very great place to go buy your singles. They did a really big sale over a couple weeks ago. The big kickback. They did another big kickback for Labor Day. So there's a lot of good deals running on the site regularly, in addition to having a very solid buy list themselves. So we want to thank them, as always, for sponsoring the cast and working with us and helping us out with the party in Indianapolis. And it's a great place. And if I might say, has the best Magic content and the best editing of any website in the world. So moving on to my pick, I'll go with...
I find their editing to be haphazard. And
haphazard, you say? I see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's
it's almost like someone's distracted. They should be working harder on their job. But
okay, good to know.
They're distracted trying to pitch Channel Fireball to people.
Yeah, your feedback has been noted and dismissed.
Are you hiring?
I'm going to go with Eladamri's Call for Modern Horizons. So this
good
card...
call, Corbin?
Yes. That's what I'm going to do. The card is $2. It seems it's got hit with a lot of reprints. Big reprints, right? Masters 25, now Modern Horizons. It was originally in Plane Shift. And the Plane Shift version, this is just worth noting here, it was $11 before it got reprinted. And yes, they're big reprints, and yes, you expect it to tank, but I'll say that it seems to be bottoming out around this $1.50 mark here. $1.50 to $2. So the card is seen playing modern. It's very powerful. There's a lot of these, basically Stoneforge brings a bunch of white X decks into play, and a lot of times they're white blue, but a whole lot of times they're white blue green. And Eladamri's Call fits very well into those. It fits into your Noble Hierarch decks, your Devoted Druid decks, all of these things, in addition to being a very powerful commander card in its own right. So I don't know. It might get a little cheaper. Maybe it gets down to $1 to $1.50, but I'm pretty happy starting to pick these up and hoard them at $1.50 to $2 right now, because it seems unlikely that it's going to get any more reprints than this. I mean, I guess it could get thrown into a commander set, but if they hadn't done that yet, I don't really anticipate them doing that now. But between the Master set and the Modern Horizon set, they now have enough demand. It is there in Modern. It's going to naturally increase just because of what it does, but it's also got the possibility, especially in this wide open Modern Horizons metagame, for there to be some kind of Bant Stoneforge snow deck thing to come out. And keep in mind, Eladamri's Call is an instant. It searches for a creature, puts it in your hand. So you get instant speed, go get your Ice Fang Coatl, put it into play and block that Tarmogoyf, right, for 4 mana, which is fairly reasonable in Modern, especially if you are running Noble Hierarchs or so on. So it's got a lot of possibilities to move up from where it is now in jumps. And if it doesn't move in chunks, it's just going to move slowly anyway. So that's my pick this week. Neato. What you got, DJ?
I have an email. Bam. Weren't expecting that, were you?
You have an email. Okay.
And this question kind of segues into my pick of the week, but I felt that I needed to address this person's email as quickly as possible because they sent it 7 days ago, and that was the cast week when I was not here last week. So
what's their patron level?
$10.
Okay.
All right, I'll allow it.
We'll read it. Yeah, sure.
So these two declined to read your urgent email when you needed it most, but that's why I'm here, Patrick. It says, "Hey, Brew Crew."
Don't dox him.
Yes,
doxing people.
His first name. Truly, the 4chan elite hackers are already on his case.
Well, how many Patricks are there? You narrowed it down quite a lot. That's not that common.
That's true, man.
Question from a long-time listener and $10 Patreon supporter. The new banned and restricted announcement went out today, and much to my surprise, Stoneforge Mystic is legal in Modern. I have one sitting in an EDH deck, and I'd love to cash it in at buy list. When's the best time to try listing it? Immediately, or should I wait a day or two for them to sell out at the major vendors and see where the new price settles? What factors do you consider when buy listing cards with new buzz around them? Love the cast. It's a highlight of my week. Patrick.
Well, thanks, Patrick.
You should have sold these like a week ago when you sent us this email.
No, but here's the thing, though. This actually is an interesting question the way you framed this, because one, if you just have one, if you can list it on TCG Player or eBay or whatever, I'd recommend doing that. But buy lists don't always move within 24 hours or even 48 hours necessarily. Something on Stoneforge they probably did, but sometimes you'll see cards spike and the buy list won't move for a while.
Yeah, so I followed Stoneforge, and the buy list that I checked had updated to roughly $45 on Tuesday afternoon when I was sitting in the airport.
That's when you ship them.
Yes, and yes, if the buy listing is your only option, like Corbin said, I highly recommend just getting in when the getting is good and listing that card on a sales platform like CardSphere or TCG Player
or your local Facebook group.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say, or a local Facebook group. Just slash the lowest listing by 10 to 15%. Like Stoneforge's peak was 75, which is where I sold out at. And so you just post them on Facebook and say, hey, $65 Stoneforge, and then let the Feeding Frenzy and the Piranhas do the rest of the work for you. If that is not an option and for some reason you are unable to list those cards for retail, then yeah, I would just keep your finger on the pulse of a buy list, and as soon as the option appears to sell it for a significant gain, then you take that.
Yeah, I've seen, for instance, cards spike on TCG. One of that I can think of is Toothy. I actually bought into some Toothies a while back. The card spiked on TCG Player, but the Card Kingdom buy list never moved. It moved very slowly, and I think what that tells you is that there's a difference between something like Stoneforge and then something like your commander cards that are moving up slowly or even going through a buyout, right? The buy list prices don't always move in time, because if it's a buyout scenario and a vendor isn't actually selling that card at the new price, if they still have a lot in stock or whatever, it doesn't matter that Toothy, for instance, has been bought out on TCG Player, if Card Kingdom still has them and they're not selling them, then their buy list isn't going to move. So that means sometimes it's better to wait. Now, something like Stoneforge is clearly the exception here, because it took, it was obviously just a much higher impact move. But I'm with DJ on something like that, especially generally the fewer high value cards you're trying to sell, the better you are trying to do an individual sell. If you're trying to move 10 copies of a card that spiked from $5 to $10, then yeah, you're probably just better off waiting on the buy list to catch up. If you're trying to sell 100 Stoneforges, it's probably the same thing. But if you're trying to liquidate your Stoneforge out of your deck, just post locally, post on your social media, and if you don't have access to a store, just do that sort of thing. You're going to be much better off in terms of your cash, because everybody wants it, and everyone wants the deal on it because the FOMO gets them. Stoneforge is going up and up. You got to get it.
And then you'll be able to purchase it for lower than what you sold it for a week prior, because, I mean, if you sold it on Tuesday for 65 or something like that, and you had originally picked it up for 20 or 25, and then today you're looking at Stoneforge price and you say, oh, TCG low is 55, then you go back to Facebook and say, buying one Stoneforge $50, please, and then everything is great.
Yeah, you could do that, yeah.
Now, I think if you were looking to buy them, I kind of have like the opposite advice. I really think you wait. I think you wait
if you're trying
as
to
long
buy
as you
them.
possibly can if you're trying to buy them.
Yeah, it depends like how.
Even if you want them to play with, you just wait till the last possible minute.
Yeah, like if you need them for your tournament 3 weeks from now, don't buy them the moment they get unbanned.
Yes,
like everybody does.
Yeah. Now this does lead perfectly into DJ's pick, because I almost just brought it up myself without thinking about it. So go ahead, DJ.
Yeah, so this is a pick of the week that if you have access to the $10 Patreon pick of the week spreadsheet at patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery for as little as something to something cents a month.
I wondered if we're going to get through the episode without a pitch.
No, I saved it. Don't worry. This is a pick that I picked because I was like, I picked this recently, right? And then I went all the way back to the 2017 spreadsheet, and there it sits. So it has been nearly 720 something days.
No, it hasn't, DJ. You've only been podcasting with us for a year.
Corbin, I have bad news for you.
No, DJ, no.
I have bad news for you. You're still the new guy.
Splitter Twin is a card that I picked in 2017. A couple of years after it got banned, and I have written an article that is currently still sitting on TCG Player about buying banned cards and why you should buy into cards that have been banned or cards that work very well with the cards that have been banned, and Stoneforge is the sort of the ideal example as to why that is true, because if you were sitting on any Sword of Fire and Ice or Swords of Feast and Famine or Swords of War and Peace or any card that says the word equipment on it that is currently modern legal, you are very happy right now.
Sorry.
Yeah. And so I wrote an article saying that you should buy cards like Punishing Fire, you should buy cards like Thopter Foundry and Sword of the Meek before they got unbanned. Generally just both the level 0 and the level 1 cards, level 0 being the banned card itself and level 1 being sort of the next level card of like, oh, what goes well with this? And then level 2 would be what goes well against this. So like Manriki Gusari would be the example of like, if I theorize that Stoneforge is good.
Sometimes those specs get blown out by a rule change, like what happened to me when I bought all those boom busts in case they ever unbanned Bloodbraid Elf.
Yes.
And they're like, Bloodbraid Elf's unbanned, but...
That's funny, actually. Manriki Gusari, by the way, free breaking bulk for you guys. It's an uncommon from Saviors of Kamigawa. This card spiked like a decade ago.
Well, that was tech back in the day.
Yeah, it spiked a decade ago for your Legacy Stoneforge mirrors, and now it's spiking again for your modern Stoneforge mirrors. So look for your Manriki Gusaris.
Yes.
Back from your Kamigawa block hand-in-hand deck.
I mean, Splinter Twin has this... almost like a cult following, I want to say, sort of how Stoneforge did, where there were all these Twitter memes and all these Reddit threads and all of these, like, unbanned Stoneforge, you cowards, like, we're dying on turn 2, and this is the card that you keep caged away as the card that makes a 4/4 on turn 3, like, what is wrong with you, Wizard? And I mean, there's some truth to that, when that, like, the format is at such a high power level that, like, Wizards felt uncomfortable just letting this card free, and I feel like Splinter Twin is could theoretically almost be in the same package. Not immediately, obviously. They're going to wait until the meta stagnates. They're going to wait in 2 or 3 years down the road, maybe, just to even see what the meta looks like, what the power level of the format looks like. But Splinter Twin is a reasonable Magic card that they can utilize.
No, Green
as
Sun Zenith is a reasonable Magic card.
Both of those are true. I mean, like that's a great pick of the week. Just banned cards.
Well, what if you already had lots of Green Sun Zeniths? Like,
then you wait.
I'd like to.
There are no failed specs, only longer term specs.
I do like to think that Splinter Twin is not in the same class as either Green Sun or Stoneforge, because Splinter Twin does actually end the game on the spot. But DJ's right, obviously.
Well, I mean, it's
the same thing. And even if this is a stupid part of this, honestly, and this is the part that I don't like, but is objectively true, is that even if you don't, like, even if it never gets unbanned, you'll probably make money on the card. Because everyone's going to buy them in case it gets unbanned, because it could be the next Stoneforge, and they could turn their $5 into $30.
There is that roller coaster that you can theoretically ride with this card, where it's like, you just notice the peaks and the valleys. I mean, JJ, bam, there's a Stoneforge graph right on your screen. From MTG stocks.
What a wizard, that JJ.
A wizard.
Yeah, you can see the roller coaster motions about how, everyone thinks it's going to get a bit, and then it didn't. Everyone thinks it's going to, and then it didn't. But I mean...
Well, Stoneforge was my reliable card.
I mean, it's funny. You can even look at Splinter Twin and kind of see.
And then I sold all my copies at GP Detroit because...
Rip. No, that's fine. So, yeah, this is a good pick.
All right, so the last thing I wanted to say about Splinter Twin is that it is a tool that Wizards can use to sort of inject new life into a metagame, even if that may not be a long-term play. I mean, like, they did it with Golgari Grave Troll, right? Like, that was a card where everyone's like, really? You're going to let that thing just be...
And they're like, no, it'll be fine. And then it was not fine. And they went,
right, but like,
fine.
They can run that experiment with Splinter Twin if they feel the need to twist the metagame's arm. They can just be like, maybe this is fine, and then maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. But they can retract that if you need be. But by then you've already made your money and ran. Like it is just a card that.
You kind of look like an idiot as a game designer if you do that too many times, though. So I don't know how eager they are to
yeah,
run
I mean, like I said,
but
all of this is just part of the. It's all just part of the profile of the card Splinter Twin, and. It's a very, very low downside card because it's also not like they're going to be rushing to reprint a card that's banned in Modern.
Yes, you can throw $20 at this playset on like a Facebook group or whatever. Nobody's going to be like, oh, I don't know, maybe I should keep it's a very easy card to purchase or trade for, except by those diehard holders who are just like rubbing their foil playsets lovingly in their binder. But you can just spend $20. It's a very, very low risk bet with very, very high upside, just like Stoneforge, just like Thopter Foundry, just like Sword of the Meek, just like Punishing Fire, like Green Sun, just all of these cards are just very, very low downside, high upside.
Yep. All right, everybody. Where can people find you on the internet?
I'm on Twitter at Jason E. Alt, and if you look, I got a pin post that says all the other projects I work on. I'm a writer for MTG Price. I'm a writer for CoolStuffInc.com, and I have a non-Magic podcast called Director's Cut on the They Said We Said YouTube channel, where I talk about, you guessed it, directors. I am also the content manager on EDHREC.com, and I do this stupid podcast sponsored by Channel Fireball.
Yeah, so my name is Douglas Johnson. You can call me DJ. I am a buyer for 95 MTG. You can find me at most North American Grand Prix. I will be at Indianapolis, then Atlanta, then Montreal, then Richmond, then Columbus. You can find me on Twitter at Rose of Thorns. I buy and sell Magic cards under the hashtag CardGarden, CardGarden. You can find my TCG player store under the same name. And you can buy and sell Magic cards with me on Twitter, and then that's basically all I do at this point is argue with people on Twitter, buy and sell cards on Twitter, and I
get blocked.
Yeah,
and get blocked on Twitter. All right, everybody. I'm Corbin. I am the content manager and editor at channelfireball.com. I do Mighty Modern on YouTube. I write for Overwatch League. You can find me on Twitter, on Facebook. I accept all friend requests. You can blow me up with decks you want me to play. Online, we do this podcast. I don't know, I'm probably missing something. Anyways, everybody, Hope to see you this weekend at Indy. Thank you for listening. This is Brainstorm Brewery.
We got stuff to give away. Don't make me drive home with it.
Become a patron. Have access to our party.
Hey, good cast, guys. I'm going to go poop now.